How you doing? It's been a while.
I am doing good. It's one of those
Good.
days.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you have your infectious disease specialist doctor hat on today because I'll be asking a lot of questions about the vaccinations for 5 to 11-year-olds. Are you okay with that?
Okay. Well, you can
Answer what you
ask. I may refer people to the actual infectious disease specialists, of which I am not one. So,
Awesome. Well, I'll ask you the questions and then
okay.
just like so 5 to 11-year-olds can get vaccinated. They started doing appointments yesterday. When can the first 5 to 11-year-olds get a shot in Halton or in Burlington?
Well, people that we just got an update actually from our medical officer of health, Dr. McGanney, today at Regional Council. So there is a PowerPoint, there's a live webcast online, so people can look that up. But
Okay.
the long and the short of it is that yes, appointments open today, but most of them are for 2 weeks out. So it
Oh,
is going to be. As one of the council members pointed out, it's probably going to be in and around March by the time all of those eligible residents and young people are fully vaccinated, just because of the wait time and then the 2 weeks after you get the shot, that period you have to wait. So we're, it's kind of a good indicator and time frame for the the length of this continued pandemic. I've certainly had a lot of questions from people about when can the state of emergency be lifted and when can we come back to, council chambers for in-person meetings and things of that nature. And we're not out of this pandemic anytime soon, especially when we're still unable to get all of our residents who are eligible for a vaccination fully vaccinated till the middle of, well, not the middle of next year, but March of next year. So we did in Burlington actually extend our mask bylaw and our physical distancing bylaw yesterday at City Council, and we've extended it out till the end of June.
okay.
But we've given ourselves a 5-day window. If the province changes their regulations, then I'll call a special council meeting and we'll determine if we want to lift ours sooner. And I have the option to do that at any point between now and June, if medical indicators are such that that would warrant that. But I did ask Dr. McGanney, should we be lifting our state of emergency at the city or the region? She said no. We're not there
No.
yet. We're not there yet for a while. So
Okay.
yeah,
And did you say that the first appointments for 5 to 11-year-old are 2 weeks out?
roughly, yeah, like middle of December. It's December 8th to 10th. People are starting to
Okay.
get appointments in there. Yeah.
Okay. And are they going to be done within the traditional vaccination centers that you guys have for adults?
They've actually modified it. So there's a number of different locations where, pharmacy clinics, primary care centers, some of those places are top of the list for people to book their appointments through because, kids feel more comfortable in that kind of a setting. So they've outlined a range of options for people, and those are available. But yes, if people feel comfortable coming to the vaccination, the GoVax and the pop-up clinics, anyone of any age is eligible to go there. So if your child feels comfortable in that setting, and if you haven't as an adult gotten vaccinated yet, there's lots of options for you to just head over and head in and get it done.
Okay. And in this presentation, did they bring up if they're actually going to be doing vaccinations within school settings in Halton and Burlington?
That is not being contemplated, no.
No? Okay. All right. And then I asked this for Dr. Lowe, and I asked Mayor Crombie this. Will Halton Public Health implement kind of a proof of vaccination for 5 to 11-year-olds going into sports facilities?
So typically vaccination policies are set by the province.
Okay.
So the vaccination policy applied generally to every eligible individual. So now that the younger folks can get it, they're part of that eligible population.
Okay.
So, we can certainly seek further clarification on that. But now that you're eligible for a vaccination, then one would assume the policy would apply.
Cool. Thinking what ID would they show, but
Well, the same, yeah. A health card with your name on it. I don't know. Some
yeah,
of them have pictures on them.
true.
My kids, so
Or a
too
blue
soon to get a
screen.
driver's license.
Sorry, all these questions.
Passport, I don't know.
all these questions are from viewers, and they're all vaccination questions. So I apologize for 100 of them today. If
I
you
will
have
do my best.
okay, I'm glad you had the presentation today. If you have multiple kids, right, can you go at the same time to get the shot?
That's a really good question. And I will just say that based on our previous experience, you couldn't book a group or a family or even a couple. So now, having said that, when I booked for myself, my husband, and my kids, I just went in and out like back to back and booked. And we were all within 5 minutes of each other. So effectively, we were taken together, yes. So just watch for that, but you can't go in on one booking and book for 4 or 5 different people. You got to
Oh,
do it one at a time. That's how the system has worked previously. So I would assume that that's still what's happening. My kids are older than 5, so I haven't used the system going based on what other people have mentioned. And most of the adults in those families are already vaccinated. So it's truly just about getting their younger kids vaccinated. So it's just one appointment typically for a lot of
okay.
families.
And will every kid 5 to 11 have the opportunity to get a shot? Like, I guess, is there enough supply in Halton?
Well, the supply continues to come in, and so they book. You won't be able to book an appointment if we don't have supply. So that's how we manage things, right? If supply starts to go down or it's an issue, then appointments will stop until the supply comes in. So if you are able to book an appointment, you can assume that the shot will be there for you.
Okay, awesome. And I guess once all the kids are vaccinated, let's just say by March, what kind of impact do you think this will have on the economy and just opening everything up in Halton and Burlington?
Well, there's no question that vaccinations make us all safer. The vaccine is effective at preventing the worst symptoms, so that keeps us out of hospital and protects the ICU and allows non-COVID related surgeries to continue. So we know we have lots of other health conditions that we need to look after in our community. And you will recall that Halton was, when we were dragged into lockdown, it was legitimately because of hospital capacity surging across the GTHA. So we know vaccines protect hospital capacity. 97% of people in hospital right now with COVID are not vaccinated. So the symptoms are severe and you will end up in hospital, and the long-term impacts are more severe. Additionally, vaccinated people have a much shorter incubation period, time frame that they can pass the virus on to others, and it's far less severe. So on every measure related to this pandemic, we are better off as a collective community if everyone is vaccinated than not. So our goal, as you know, in Halton to reach sort of a critical mass is 90% of eligible people. But we've just added a whole new level of eligibility. So it's going to take, so we're probably going to go down in terms of our percentage vaccinated for a while before we go back up again. Right?
Okay.
So we were hovering around 88% first dose, a little less than that second dose. That's well above the national average and above the provincial average. So we're doing well, but we've not reached herd immunity. And it's hard to predict. Well, with the kids, we've heard March. So it could be, next March before we're starting to catch back up again to that threshold of 90%.
Okay. Yesterday there was the throne speech from the federal government. Was it everything that kind of you expected from a municipal level, talking about affordable housing and daycare and things like that?
Yeah, those two are definitely top of mind for us. Transit, infrastructure funding, those are the main issues that we've advocated for through Federation of Canadian Municipalities, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, Ontario Big City Mayors, all of those tables, plus individually, we've advocated for that. And actually at our regional council meeting a week ago, there was a motion brought forward to ask the province and the feds to get on with negotiating the $10 a day childcare. And we also approved that at our city council yesterday. So just adding our voice to those, saying these continue to be our priorities. None of this will be shocking news to our MPs. We've certainly conveyed those messages, and it was good to see those items touched on, as well as continued commitment to truth and reconciliation. and diversity and equity, and making much more progress with respect to our relationships with Indigenous people in our city and our country.
Awesome. I can't believe it's 22's coming within 40 days. I think it's 40 days.
Wow.
And
do you know how many days till Christmas too? You probably have that like 20,
26?
probably about 30. Yeah. Wow.
20, well, yeah, sorry. Yeah, just 20. Yeah, no. So let's just say, what has been the biggest challenge, let's say outside of COVID, right, for the city of Burlington that you've dealt with?
Development.
Development? Okay.
Development continues to be a huge, significant concern. There's good news, bad news. So we are planning for the next wave of growth in our city around our 3 GO stations. We know that that's where the province wants to see it. We know that that's where the infrastructure can handle it. Having said that, it has to be the right scale. And so there are, we've had a series of meetings throughout the fall with communities. There are some development applications already coming in while we're continuing that work of figuring out what it should look like. And we really need to manage how we transition some of the taller buildings in the 30+ story range right around the GO stations down to something like 6 stories closer to established neighborhoods. So that is top of mind for a lot of folks. Of course, development downtown continues to be a roller coaster, I will say. We got very good news recently from the province, from the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, finally signing off on the decision that was announced in June, that he was agreeable to moving the Urban Growth Center from downtown to the GO stations and getting rid of the major transit station area designation downtown entirely. Okay. And again, shifting that to the GO station. And that's significant because those 2 designations have been used by applicants to justify vast overdevelopment in the downtown. And they've won at the Ontario Lands Tribunal. So having those removed, going forward, all new applications will not be able to rely on those. So that's great news. There's a big but in there, and there's a big challenge in there, and that's because the minister chose to add to his decision a caveat that anything that was already on the books would be grandfathered in under the old rules. That is unusual for a provincial policy level decision. It's unusual, and it was not expected and not necessary. And so that has presented a challenge because we have 7 outstanding applications, and 5 of those are at the Ontario Lands Tribunal. So so that's given us a little bit of, kind of good news, not so good news. So it's created an extra challenge for us, but I will tell you, we remain committed to doing everything that we can as a council, as our staff, working with the community to realize the vision that we all have for appropriate development downtown. And that is captured in our new official plan that's been approved by City Council in the region. It's not legally in force and effect because it's under appeal, but we are appealing to all developers, regardless of whether they have a current application in, to respect that plan and to bring us a proposal that is more in line with the vision that has been expressed there, because we know that's the future. And that's the impact of the provincial decision, is they've said, that was then, but going forward, this is the vision for downtown. And so we're going to definitely be reiterating that everywhere we go, to say, why would an application be approved, recognizing that it doesn't reflect the future of where we're going, and that the future of where we're going has already been approved by the minister and under provincial policy. So that's our challenge, but we remain committed to it.
Good. So you'll still be fighting like every step of the way type thing?
I will absolutely do everything in my power to continue to do what we've done throughout, which is advocate and fight for a vision that our community expects downtown. Absolutely.
Okay.
And preferably, we'd like developers to respect our vision and bring in applications that reflect that. And if they don't, we are prepared to do what we have to do to try to change it.
Okay. We're talking about the budget and chopping down the 5.5% increase. Have you got?
So we are meeting next week. So the way the budget process works, and has every year for the last 11 years that I've been around council, is staff give us their very best professional recommendations. They make a proposed budget, and then it's in council's hands. And it never, ever stays exactly as proposed and presented. And that's part of the collaborative process that we go through. Staff give us their draft, and then we go to work to determine whether the priorities are in the right order, whether the spending amounts are the right ones. And we listen very carefully to the public input that we receive. And I would say overall, what's in the budget is reflective of what we've heard from the community. They value investments related to climate change and traffic, active transportation, parks, amenities, services, capital infrastructure. All of that is reflected in this budget. But they've also told us very loud and clear, and I just went through the public engagement survey that was done online. There were over 75 comments saying you need to bring the increase down. You need to bring it down close to inflation. Some people bringing it down to zero. That's not going to happen. That's not sustainable for us, and it's not going to help us maintain the services that the community relies on. But we also know 5.45 city level is too high. We've heard that loud and clear. And so we now have a balancing act that we have to try to achieve between, making those investments in what the community has said is important, while also doing our best to cut anything that doesn't need to happen this year, that could be deferred, phased in over a longer period of time, and bring that increase to a more sustainable level. For our residents, a more affordable level, because we know there are many people on fixed incomes or low incomes, and any increase to their costs is not sustainable for many of them, because they don't have any extra revenue coming in to pay for that. And with all the other things going up, food going up, housing costs going up, inflation sits at what, 4.7 roughly right now. So that is our task. And so mark November 30th on your calendar. It's Tuesday. We have a whole day set aside. I just submitted my motion memo to our staff to go on the agenda. So this is all public, what I'll be proposing and why. It's about 16 pages of rationale and about 20 some odd amendments. So, that is obviously subject to majority vote by council, and we never all get everything we ask for, but I'm going to ask and advocate that, what I've proposed are reasonable cuts that will still protect services and investments.
Awesome. Let's talk about fun stuff here. Holiday Magic Trail going on in Burlington neighborhoods. The award-winning Holiday Magic Trail.
Award-winning. Santa's coming to you.
Nice.
Yeah, so we started that last year, and that was because people couldn't gather. But our Santa Claus parade has to be planned. The float's built, in July. They start planning for this, and when you cast your mind back to that time, we were still under lockdown.
Yeah.
So we've got a smaller event, but it is going through to the neighborhood, and the benefit of that is twofold. You can walk to the end of your driveway with your hot chocolate or whatever beverage you prefer and watch Santa go by from the comfort of, just outside your own home with your own neighborhoods, your own neighbors. And also it means that it spreads it around. It spreads the love and joy around. And so the parade isn't just in one location downtown every year. It's now in other neighborhoods. So it's been really well received by the community, and so we're excited to bring that back this year.
Will the Santa be throwing stuff at the kids?
I don't think so. No, they don't stop because they don't want people so don't approach Santa. Like, don't try to give them cookies and milk and whatnot. Okay. They drive slowly, but it's a moving vehicle, so people do really have to keep their distance. Yes, right. Wave. Okay. Wave, make noise, but he won't be throwing anything, and nobody should throw anything at him either. So.
Yes, okay. I think the kids won't do that.
Yeah.
We see a lot of events happening. Mississauga, the tree lighting. What do you most looking forward to in 2022 or in the coming months in regards to outdoor festivities and events?
There are lots of things going on, and I love all of them. They're all a little different, but it's a great time of year. So we actually kicked it off in Aldershot,
Okay.
the annual Aldershot tree lighting, and it was the largest turnout I have ever seen, and I've been for a number of years to the tree lighting. And there was over 400 people, and it's done in a small plaza, and there's booths. They had fire twirlers, and Santa was there, of course, free cider and cocoa and
Nice.
soup and lots of vendors. It was a fabulous community event. So people were so happy to be out. That was last Saturday. Just to be out, and people from across the city. It wasn't just Aldershot residents coming out. People are like, Christmas tree, free food, I'm coming, like I'm there. So that kind of kicked off the season, and we have the Festival of Lights that has now been turned on down in Spencer Smith Park. That's always quite spectacular to go down at dusk and grab a hot chocolate from a local restaurant and wander through with your family. That's great. There's also what we call bright lights downtown Burlington. And so that's really great lighting installations throughout the downtown to bring people from the park up. And then the final is the holiday market that's coming up early December, again downtown. And that will feature local vendors, local businesses, Christmas cheer kind of patterned after the European Christmas market. And we're taking over a whole parking lot and turning that into a holiday market with the blessing and support of businesses in the area. So there's lots of good stuff coming up for people, and all that's free. Free and outside. If you want inside stuff, there's lots of that going on too. But yeah.
Cool.
Fun
Well,
time.
those are all the questions I have. If do you have anything you want to talk about or bring up, or do you want me to just give you back 6 minutes of your life?
You know what? Unless one of your viewers has a question they want to throw my way, I think we're good. Yeah.
Well,
Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you. Are we seeing you next week? I know we had a bit of a jumble in our schedule there.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. I'll see you next week.
All righty. See you next
Okay,
week.
later. Bye.
Bye.